how is it possible to live or be aware of a higher knowing, a greater consciousness, while you're also grappling with these real world things that are like in your face? Aside from, oh, I can sit with the pain, which I can.
What I'm hearing is that when you're dealing with real world happenings, in your personal life, in the greater world, whatever level, that you fall away from the knowing or the remembering of something more, that one takes you away from the other. And what I'm suggesting is that even when we feel fear rise or we experience pain, there is a way we can hold it in perspective rather than seeing it as the whole of the happening. It's like if we zoom out and we're sitting on the moon and we're looking back at Earth, we see a beautiful planet spinning around. And the closer we get, the more we see all of the bits that aren't working, that feel quite painful. We can zero in on any one particular life and see the pain that might be there. Our greater self is looking at the happenings from a perspective that isn't tumbling about in the emotions of that. I have an old back injury that causes me quite a lot of chronic pain and sometimes challenges what I can and can't do on a given day. And I can feel pain and I can go, okay, my back really hurts. And I can do this or I can't do that. And there are times that I can feel fear rising, and they're really different. They're really different. Because I can feel fear rising. What will this mean? What will this mean in 10 years? How will I manage my life? And that never suits me. That will never help me. And so I can feel pain, and I can decide what I need to do about it in the moment to be more comfortable or to care for it. But when my mind starts to take over and starts the worry and the fear, it's a whole different experience. So I can say, okay, there's 8 billion people. There's 8 billion ways to live a life. There's a consciousness that is experiencing physicality through all of these focal points. And my particular focal point experiences this particular back pain as an experience. That's what's happening. When my ego of fear, what does this mean for my life? This really brief life, not the whole fullness of my foreverness, but this brief life. Then I have to tend to that, because I will sit in the suffering of it rather than having it opening me to, it is part of my way. This particular injury happens to be part of this person's way. And I'm going to use that as best I can to open to a greater knowing. So each of us, whatever is put in front of us, is our way. Our greater self is going, here, try this and see if that helps you know yourself better. Try this. And when the egoic, the fearful, defended piece grabs it first, then we just spiral into our suffering. So how can we see whatever is showing up as an opportunity to discover something more about ourselves that actually separates us from fear and worry, just allows it. Whatever is happening, whether it's all of these things that have been named earlier, happening around the world, whatever is happening in our personal life and our personal challenges, when we only see it from a human perspective, we will suffer it. And then the energy that we bring forward from that suffering will cement the patterns of those happenings even more. Right? So if we're wanting to shift the patterns of personal experience, of a greater world experience, then we can have it show up and be aware of the process the ego is attempting to keep us in, and our practices and our greater knowings allow us to hold a different vibration. So that's the practice. Like the words alone, however I say it, and it's really hard to find the words because what we're talking about is beyond words. Speaking it to you won't make it so, right? that's why, how do we find our own practices that help us step into what we're cognitively talking about is actually there waiting for us, patiently waiting for us to go, oh, hello, me. The cognitive piece, the intellectual pursuit is an important part. And yet we grapple with languaging there because we won't find it there. It will just be a signpost pointing us. And the spiritual practices will help open us to that. And it's so important to notice our patterns of how we're grabbed when ego is grabbed, because that's actually pinching us off from the knowing exactly when we need to know it, when fear rises. And so again, it's with self-compassion that we ride this line between having pain or worry or whatever arise and then going, wait a minute, there's something more. And how do I open to that right now? Because I actually need that right now to hold me. And it's when we're holding that energy that things shift. So gentleness with ourselves as we walk our way to ourselves.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.